little bit more light. Well, it started to rain. Time got away from me, so I'm just gonna improvise here. What we have here are some full packer briskets. And I'm going to attempt to show you how I do a trim on these briskets for catering purposes. You can also do it this way if you just want to feed your loved ones. Take a sharp knife, pretty stiff, 6-inch, just sharpen. After you sharpen them, make sure you rub any of that stuff off. And then what I'm going to do is kind of use this hard meat here as a guide to cut, so you don't cut any of the meat. And then I'm going to peel this back, trying to keep it in a cup still. So when you pull this plastic out underneath, most of the juices will stay in the cup. I don't always have it clean, but again, this is a trim just for catering purposes. I don't know if you can see that juice here, so you can try to keep that all in there. That is not blood, by the way. That is something way more technical than that, and you don't have to be afraid of it, especially if you're a person who follows certain religious standards. So what I'm going to do here is just give you a brief rundown. I don't know the technical names, so I'm going to call this hard fat. I'm going to trim this hard fat, clean up some of this soft fat here, and not too much, you know. I'm just going to make it kind of neat looking, give it a pretty look. Again, this is not a competition trim whatsoever. This is a backyard cooking for the family, catering trim. You want to give as much good meat to the person available while trying to keep it pretty still. One thing I noticed when I started doing these videos, well, actually I noticed it a while ago, but my breathing is really heavy. It's kind of a trip. Something I don't really notice until I put myself on a video. Anyways, bear with me. I'm just coming underneath. I'm going to peel that fat off. If you want to get an idea of how much fat or how much meat you're shaving off, just save it next to yourself in a pan. You can weigh it. You can get an idea. You know, so if you are charging people, you got to kind of bring that into account, how much food you're going to actually shave away. So this is the hard stuff right here. I'm just going to come through here and cut through this. I'm looking for smoothness. I want this to be smooth. I know it matters a lot more on a stick burner about the smooth style meat, the smooth meat you make. I don't cook with a stick burner, but I still try to implement some of those techniques in my cooking because I think they're good practices. So again, see how smooth it is? Yeah, there's still some fat there, but for the most part, it's smooth. Now on this side here, I'm going to come through and I'm just going to kind of cut some of that edge off. When I first started doing this, I felt really bad about how much meat actually gets cut off here, and as I did it more and more, I realized this is essential to getting a good looking brisket, to getting something that your customers or your family is going to be really happy with. So what I'm going to do here is just shave off a little bit of this. If this is gray, you're going to shave it until you get to red. The grayness is just an oxidization. Don't be afraid of it. It doesn't mean the meat is bad at all. It's just oxygen turning that part of the meat a gray color. Again, it doesn't mean it's bad at all. So this is the point. This is the flat here, and this brisket was about 16 pounds. And again, you just want it to be kind of smooth, okay? So now I'm going to flip her over. Okay, and you're going to fill around, and hard fat is bad, soft fat is good, okay? So you're going to fill around, you're going to kind of get an idea. Start shaving from the top here. You're going to want to be able to just shave some of this fat off of here. Again, nothing too dramatic. Your flat here, it's going to need the fat, especially in a pellet cooker, going low and slow. I'm going to cook this fat cap down. You know, there's a big debate about that. I'm not here to debate. I'm just here to show you how I do it. So every brisket is going to be different. You may get some where you're like, man, I just shaved half of that thing away. You may get others that you don't feel that way. Whatever you do here, especially on this, try to get that silver skin off. There's a silver skin there. At least get that portion off so the rub could stick better. And then on the point here, it's okay to go thinner on the point where the fat is, because you have a lot of fat that is sitting inside the point, so you don't need as much on top. Again, most guys that trim for competition purposes would probably laugh at what I'm doing here, but it's just the way I do it. Again, I can see I want that big chunk there. I want to be able to have some protection in that area, and at the same time, all right, so the other thing I do is there's always this part right here, and it's where the flat and the point kind of come to a head, and it always looks just weird. So what I'll do is I'll just trim some of that away. I'll try to expose the meat, or I could apply a rub to it, but I don't want to damage this big piece of meat too much. I don't want. It's better to cut less and cook longer, is what I feel like, especially cooking on a pellet cooker. It's just time and pellets. It's not like you're out there breaking your back like people do on stick burners. So if you cut less and cook more, that's fine, especially for this type of eating. Some people will actually dig this piece out. That's fine also. Again, I am not going to do that on this. Some of this stuff comes off real easy, not a problem. See, this part right here is going to be the issue. See, you can feel it right here, almost like a mohawk. So I'm just going to come through and do exactly what I said I wasn't. Just cut that off. Okay, so now it's going to lay flat. I'm going to clean some of this up. And again, this is for your brisket to turn out nice and beautiful, symmetrical, give a good presentation. Because this guy's going to go on my pellet smoker for a long time. Here's the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this side here and I'm going to make it round, okay? I'm going to take it and I'm just going to make it round and make this round here, okay? And that's kind of the way I'm going to leave this guy. You can see I got a good 3-4 pounds of meat in here, fat, okay? That's how much. You can see that I took off of there. All right. Trash because I don't make sausage. Now I'm going to come up here to the seasoning part. The seasoning part is super easy. Okay. All we're going to do is take some mustard. No flavor is added by putting a little mustard on, okay? I'm just going to put a little bit of this on and rub it thin. People call this a binder. Okay? We're not adding any flavors by doing this. It's just going to help the rub stick to a piece of meat. 50-50 black pepper and salt right here. I'm just going to apply this on the downside, okay? Downside don't have to be pretty, but you are practicing for the top side, so remember that. And then flip it. I'm going to come across here again with some mustard. Okay. And again, thin. I like to get it thin on here, not too thick. I'm not going to cook this in the pan either. I'm going to just use the pan as a holder right now. And what I'm trying to do is just lay that down there as soft, as even as possible. I have to. Here we go. Okay. Hopefully you can see that well. Voila. Okay. So now what I'll do is, I got 2 more, so I'll just take this and go put it in my cane, bro. That'll help you from cutting any of that precious meat. Get any butcher scars on it. Again, I'm going to take this out. I want to kind of keep the juices in that package there. There we go. Alright. Okay. We're going to come back. I can already see some differences. This piece right here isn't as long like the other one was. You know, it's a lot shorter. So I'm going to cut through that. So when I go shopping for brisket, if there's a lot there and I have some stuff to choose from, generally I'm looking for brisket in that 14 to 17 pound range. I know those briskets are going to take me 15 to 17 hours, depending on how low and slow I'm going. I like to buy Angus Choice briskets or Prime. I really like the way Angus Choice briskets cook. But here in California, you don't always have a good selection, so you got to kind of take what you got, what they got, and work with it. So I can already see this kind of bulge developing here. So you can tell this brisket is just not going to be as pretty as the other one. Unfortunately, sometimes you just got to work with what they have, or what they have out. If you develop a really good relationship with your butcher, then that is awesome and great. But sometimes you just got to get with what they're given, and you know, I don't have a lot of places to buy brisket here in California, so I definitely got to take what they have. You can just see this point is going to be really ugly. It's got a lot of big, thick fat going through it. You got to work with it. I'm already telling myself this brisket here is probably going to... I'm just going to shape it, really. I'm not going to be worried about a lot of this fat, because if I were to cut a lot of it out, I wouldn't have any meat left. So something like this, you're definitely going to want to be a little more cautious of what you're cutting and where you're cutting. Thin slices. Try to keep it round. Let's see what this looks like. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is just an ugly brisket all the way around. This thing is ugly. Wow. I mean, if you see it right here, just it looks like the butcher was angry. Looks like he was very angry. Wow. My goodness. Wow, wow, wow. I would have fired this guy. Wow. So what I'm going to try to do is take out some of this fat here and try to get this to lay down over the top. Unfortunately, this butcher should have been fired a long time ago. He don't care about his customers. I don't mean the guy at the shop either, because this came from the plant like this, you know. Horrible. This is horrible. But you gotta make it work. You gotta make it work. Unfortunately, I don't pretend to know the first thing about being a butcher or slaughtering cattle, but I know this much. It ain't supposed to be like this. It ain't supposed to be like that. Wow. Okay, so, wow, that's so bad. So bad. cooking's sake, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so for cooking's sake, I'm just going to take a couple pieces of twine and I'm going to ball this up as good as possible. Just going to make it more of a, give it a little more shape. You know, when you alright. Again. I don't know if I ever finished my thought, but let me do it now. So I buy, if I need 15 pounds of brisket, if I need 15 pounds of cooked brisket, I buy 30 pounds of meat. Between the trim and the cook, I'm a little heavier on that. Between the trim and the cook, you're going to lose about half the weight. Usually people, if they don't sell the brisket whole, they will sell it by the pound. So, like, I'll do pre-orders, and so if I need 15 pounds pre-order meat, I'm going to buy 30 pounds. Now you can't just walk into the store and be like, hey, give me that 30-pound brisket, or give me those two 15s, or so I'll go, and if I need 30 pounds, I'll go look for a couple 16s, a 14, and a 17, whatever I can find in the combination to get me there. Come around. All right. So good lesson there. Very good lesson. Especially on not all meat is going to be perfect. But you got to make it work when you're in the catering business. Product as possible, so you can have as good of end results as possible. Okay, so this guy here is a little more feasible. A lot of times, because these things are cryovac, you know, like that last one, you can't tell. You know, everything's so well put together that until that thing comes out of the cryovac, there's no way to tell that it was going to be like that. I guess that's part about having a good supplier. But like I said, here in California, we kind of get what we get. Unless you go to a really fancy butcher, I couldn't imagine, you know, the prices I would need to sell my brisket at even higher than already, because I went and bought a $5.99 a pound brisket. Alright, smooth it out. Cut away some of the silver skin. And I'm sure this will be fast forwarded when I do the video. See that? That's pretty typical when you see something like that. Pretty typical. The other part of this cook is to see how the Gorilla Bark will run overnight with the controller, Silverback Alps controller. Now I will have a fireboard hooked up. I can keep track of temps. I can also document any kind of temp swings. I want to give this information to Gorilla Grills, the company, just so they can have on hand. So, if anybody ever inquires, hey, have you ever seen one of your controllers on a much larger cooker? I think I have a little bit of data for that. Again, soft fat is good, hard fat is bad. Stuff like this is bad. Flatten that out. Voila. There we go. Looks nice. Flat. Alright. Go with that. Go with that. Sometimes, as you do more and more, especially in one sitting, by the time you get to the last one, you're like, yeah, that looks fine. You just look at it and you're good. And you work with it. You work with it. You know, truthfully, I can't say that I've ever noticed a difference. Never been like, oh yeah, that's the one I didn't trim as much. Nice flat. Okay. Alright. So now I'm going to come through.